Money 2020 is a leading global event series and networking hub for the fintech industry, and they're a partner of the NYSE. And this June, Money 2020 is heading to Amsterdam, and it's on the lookout for brilliant fintech minds to take the stage. Joining me now to share more is Oliver Smith. He's the head of content at Money 2020. Oliver, welcome.
Thanks, Ashley. Great to be here today.
So what is Money 2020 Europe?
So Money 2020 Europe is Europe's biggest financial services conference. We welcome 8,000 leaders from across the landscape to join us in Amsterdam each summer. So we're hard at work building the event for next summer.
Of course, and part of building that event, I'm sure, is finding speakers to fill your stages and fill the different offerings. Can you tell me what kind of speakers you're looking for and what kinds of topics you're looking for them to cover?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're looking for innovators, disruptors. We're looking for CEOs, yes, but we're also looking for the builders, the ones that are making a difference, regulators, founders. We have a really wide spectrum of speakers. We have about 450 at the event. So it's a big search, but the search is very much on.
All right. And what does that look like in practice? How are you getting the word out besides this interview, of course?
What we've launched at the moment is our call for content. So that's a 5-week-long process where we invite the financial services community around the world to be part of our agenda. It's a process. We have content pillars and ideas, and we invite the community to put forward their submissions for us to go through so that we can build that agenda out. We typically get nearly 1,000 submissions each year just for the Europe event. So we're really excited. We're already having dozens of those coming through our door. And over the next few weeks, we'll be going through them.
What are the session offerings and what type of topics are you looking to fill in those sessions?
Yeah, so we have a range of topics that we're looking for. We have 4 content pillars, and those are really the anchors of the event. We spent the summer talking to executives across the European sector to find out what topics and themes they were looking into. And there were 4 that we came up with. So the first one is AI and the agentic age. So that's really looking at agentic finance and the practical real-world use cases that are starting to come through. The second pillar is the great rebundling. So if we think about the first generation of fintech was about breaking up the bank, the great rebundling is about pulling the bank back together and growing. We see financial services companies launching stable coins, launching crypto exchanges. There's this real coming together of the industry. The third pillar is Money Stack Rewired. That's looking at stable coins, but it's also looking at the whole technology stack of the bank. So privacy, fraud, cybersecurity, all of those pieces of the puzzle. And then the fourth pillar is regulation in the fast lane. And that's looking at the speed of change that's happening in the regulatory landscape. So in Europe, we've got these whole new packages of rules coming down the line. We want to understand what's happening there and how companies are adapting to them.
All right. And I know you just touched on this in your last answer, Oliver, but how has the conversation changed from previous years? I'm sure now that AI is really ramping up, there's all kinds of new conversations happening.
So I think 2026 is feeling like a bit of a reset. I think AI is maturing. I think it's becoming a real world tangible. We're seeing features come forward now. We're also seeing the funding landscape in Europe is starting to stabilize, which is giving startups, I think, a bit more certainty. So I'm seeing 2026 as a bit of a reset year as we move away from hype and into kind of fundamentals.
All right. Yeah. Hype versus reality is something that I speak with a lot of people about, especially at these conferences. How are you going to look for substantive content in these submissions?
Yeah, it's a great question. One of the things that we're doing is we're actually launching a new stage in Europe next year called Money Lab. And that's our opportunity to have those more substantive conversations where we'll have longer form content. We'll dig into the details. It'll be a learning environment where execs can teach and explore topics rather than just having maybe higher level conversations. So we're doing that through our stages. And through the call for content, we're looking for content that does go, that digs into the topics at a slightly deeper level.
All right. And what does the call for content submission process look like?
So it's quite simple, actually. I know it can sound complicated, but it's a simple online form which you can fill in. It won't take too long. But what we are looking for is fully developed sessions. We're not just looking for speakers or ideas. We're looking for full panels with panelists and topics and conversations. I would give a few bits of advice as well. So we are looking for those full, clear ideas. We're also looking for creative ideas. We don't just want the same old panel that maybe you've seen at every other fintech conference. We want unique, novel ideas that we can explore in depth. And my third tip, I guess, would be around diversity. We want an agenda that reflects not just our industry, but the world around us. So I'd encourage anyone making a submission to really think about diversity as well.
If someone isn't sure that they are the right speaker for this, or maybe they're on the fence, what advice would you have for them?
I would tell them to go for it because you know what? Sometimes it's those niche challenges that are more universal than you might expect. People don't always think that what they are interested in will be interesting to a wider audience. But actually, some of the best panels and the best conversations we've had are where we unlock those smaller conversations for a wider audience. So I would absolutely encourage them to make those submissions. But don't delay because the deadline is the 5th of December. And the sooner those submissions come in, the quicker the team can get to reviewing them. So yeah, get them in.
And how can you submit them, Oliver?
So you can go to money2020.com, head to the European event there, and you'll find the submission page. We've also got a load of advice on our website around our content pillars, how to make the best submission you can. And on our LinkedIn page as well, Money2020, you'll find a video where myself and the whole European content team are exploring and giving our advice on how to make a submission that really sings.
All right, Oliver Smith, Head of Content at Money2020. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks, Ashley.